Welcome everyone to another episode of Vibing with Grayy. On this episode, we're going to have a candid conversation on the topic of adulting. This episode is quite special for those teenagers transitioning from late teens, like 17, 18, to young adulthood, and even to those who are on their late 20s trying to get to be real adults. So listen in, because I have a really good guest who's going to take us through all things we need to know, because actually for her also, she's trying to transition. She's still on the journey. So we're going to learn from her and get some tips towards this journey. So welcome, Esther.
Thank you.
Welcome to Vibing with Grayy, and I'm thankful that you really accepted to be here with us today and get us through this conversation, because it's something that we as late teenagers, we're struggling really much, be it school, financial literacy, even peer pressures, relationship issues. I think it's just a struggle. That's why we're being sucked into really nasty things, because some of us don't have great direction, and we need to be redirected to follow the right path, even spiritually. So it's really kind that you're here, and I'd really like for you to start by introducing yourself to the audience.
Okay, so thank you for having me. My name is Esther Kithinji. I am a HR practitioner, but I always say that I am a psychologist first and then a HR second. Born again. I love the Lord. I think that's just about it. Unless you have questions.
Yeah, I do have questions, yes, because we're going to have this conversation. So Esther, most of us, I'm in school. Right now I'm in school, medical school. And I usually find that people are really finding it hard to exist or be in the present, because there are so many pressures. Like in school, you find that you have academic pressures. You're still trying to learn how to live by yourself, to keep up your grades, and still to survive financially, because not all of us are being catered for by our parents. So you find that it's a struggle, and the kind of association to deal with, you find yourself being held up by the wrong crew. For people, they feel like it's a crew that fits in, because you go to clubs, you just enjoy yourself, you have a lot of relationships, you're just getting messy, and unfortunately they find it to be cool. So please try and help us understand how to transition to this early teenagehood and trying not to make bad decisions.
I think transitions are hard, regardless of whether you're transitioning from teenage to adulthood to adulthood, adulthood level 2.2, 3.2, 4.2. So transitions are definitely hard. I think the one thing that it's not unique. Like what you're going through is like what I went through, like when I was in campus. That whole transitioning, company, you're getting to school, clubbing is the in thing, hanging out with friends is the in thing. But I think for me, what kept me was, I think, knowing your purpose, like knowing who you are, first of all, and where you headed. So I think for me, that was very clear for myself. Like I had to remind myself, like, this is where you're going. This is, like, I had a vision for my future. I had told myself, of course, these are just thought to accomplish at that particular time, but I have accomplished them. Like I had things that I wanted to do. I want to graduate by this time. By this time, I want to get a job. By this time, I want to settle down. By this time, of course, things don't happen in that order, but having that clearly for yourself is very critical, because then that helps you navigate through the pressures of life. And then also, when you know yourself, you also know the kind of people you surround yourselves with. Even till date, it's something that's very clear for me. Like, who do I surround myself with? Because you are, I think, there's this phrase our deputy principal used to say, you are who you are based on who you hang around with. Like your friends influence who you are. So show me your friends and I show you who you are. That's what she used to say. And if your friends are clubbing and partying all the time, eventually you'll be dragged into that. If your friends have a purpose and a vision and you're all clear-headed, even when one is feeling down, you pull each other up. But if all of you are having mixed purposes, mixed directions, mtapelekana hivi, and before you know it, decisions have been made that you regret, and the things that you would have already, it's a choice you'd have made eventually from the start. It's not easy. It's not at 1, 2, 3, you wake up and everything is good. You have good friends, you have a purpose, you have clear. It takes time. It takes time. Like for me, it took books, it took mentors, getting people who are older than you, who've experienced life, to walk the journey with you. And I had a lot of that.
Okay. So one of the issues that we usually face is financial education. Yes, you're fresh from high school, or you've just joined uni, but now you are on your own. You need to learn how to save. Yeah, your parents may be giving you some cash to get you by, but handling that money and using it for the right purpose, it's usually a struggle. So how did you go about that?
So my life was different. When I was, I think, in primary school, my dad moved to a country, and my mom had to join him at some point. So it's like we were left alone in Nairobi. So unachwa na budget, and my mom used to be this person where anakupeleka KPLC, anakupea pesa, but the first time alipeleka KPLC akanambia hivi ndio mtu analipa, so nilienda Kenya Power nikalipa bill ya stima. Then tukawa tunaenda, I think GPO at that time, post office, we pay water. And then eventually she just left me. Anakuachia pesa, you figure it out. It has to pay water, it has to pay electricity. And so I'm in high school. It has to, like, where jua tuvelio pesa, ita sustain kila kitu. And then also, I think for me, the good thing was I had a mom who was very proactive about raising us. My mom ensured by the time I was 18 hivi, amenipeleka banki yake, amenishikilia mkono, tukaenda tukafungua account. I opened a account ya Coop Bank because my mom was like, you have to learn how to save, you have to learn how to manage your finances. And that also helped me because when you're left with, let's say, then 1,000 was a lot of money. So natural 1,000 number, this one has to cater for everything, figure it out. So unaanza kuweka budget. You start saying, hey, this is for groceries, this is what I'll use for this is what I'll use for this. It is ile mebaki ya kando. Of course, you're a child, you're just being a child here and there. You go buy something for yourself. Yeah. And eventually, I think those little principles helped me. Am I perfect? No. It's just that even when you're young, always seek out for information, free resources. Like, for me, I have always been a believer in where I don't know, let me look for that knowledge. So I've always looked at free resources. I look at Instagram, I look at Telegram. There are people who have like channels where they're teaching people how to manage your money, how to budget, how to invest. So slowly by slowly, just learning to do those things, and then asking people who have experienced the journey before you. I know when you're young, you feel, hizi vitu zinakaa, they don't make sense. Saa zingine inafeel ni kama wanasema hivyo kwa sababu wako na job. I get it. I was young also. I could feel it. Nilikuwa feel wanatuambia hivyo because XYZ. But then along the way, you are supposed to pick those nuggets and run with it, because the truth of the matter is when things go south, it is you and your choices. Who utabaki na choices zako. So you have to choose what choices are you going to make that will eventually determine your future.
And also there's this aspect of you have your group of friends, but then on weekends, these friends know how to spoil themselves very much. Alafu wewe, uko na probably kasotano, mzazi wako amekuachia, anakuambia you nafaa kupeleka nayo through that 1 week. So that there's that aspect of nile unakuwa dragged into debt sasa. Because you feel like, my friends are doing this. Wanaenda swimming. They're going clubbing to enjoy themselves. So why should I miss out? especially when you find yourself that you have a roommate. But sasa yako more engaged into that kind of your adrenaline yaku live the life YOLO. But then sasa wewe, your situation is quite different. So kuna that pressure that kicks in. Ndio unapata, actually I didn't believe it, but nikiingia college ndio I started seeing hii concept ya young women getting older men to sustain them. Actually I didn't believe it. So when I went to college ndio nikajionea. So you see like such things happening, and there are a lot of people affected.
Yeah,
Even in my class unaona tu vile someone is being swayed. Like you're not at that level yet, but you're trying to fit in. So there's a lot of peer pressure. Did you find that a lot?
Peer pressure inakuanga hata ukiwa campus utapata, even right now in adulthood it's still there. Like your pressure inakuanga magnified. So when you move from your pressure here, your friends have the fanciest shoes, your friends are clubbing every time, your friends are going out in nice places all the time. Then you come to adulthood, kuna pressure, your friends are driving cars. I don't have a car. Your friends are living in which estates. Kuna your pressure. Your friends have built. Like, adulting is you'll always be chasing after something. So the one thing that you need to be is very self-aware. But it takes time. Learning to self-awareness, na you're learning to be content with what you have. Because the moment you are not, you will always be there will always be something. Your friends have master's degrees, you don't. Your friends are doing PhDs. Your friends have children. Your friends are getting married. Like, adulthood pressures are always increasing day in, day out. So it's just knowing, who am I? Where am I in this season? This is where I'm at. This is the lifestyle I'm going to live. It's the hardest choice you have to make, because with those hard choices, you lose friends along the way. That's the truth. You will definitely lose friends, because there are people who feel like, hey, I'm tiaji, I'm stingy. But it's not being stingy. It's, I have acknowledged that the lifestyle you're living clearly is not for me. Like me, season and after babas. Yet, in same campus, there are guys like that. Even I remember a friend of mine telling me how in JKUAT kulikuwa na line ya like gari kubwa zinakuja madem. And consciously reminding ourselves that that's not our lifestyle, that's not our purpose, that's not what we intend for our futures. But it takes time. Like I remember even for me being looked at like hamshamba. So I accepted. It's okay, me mshamba. It's fine that I'm not hanging out with the popular kids. It's okay that I don't fit in that box you want me to fit in. It's fine. I am content living life the way I want to, because the moment I stop, it's the moment I'll start always getting into debts. Nitachukua hiyo mshari nende Naivasha, because Vasha is the place to be. Nitachukua tu hiyo Kaloni nende Mombasa, because kila mtu ako Mombasa na hata mimi nataka kwenda Mombasa. But it's acknowledging that for this season, I can't. I never went out. I think in campus, I never went out. I never went to Vasha. Hizi vitu nimefanya nikiwa na job. Nata si kila kitu, because I realized iyo season singeza na nika acknowledge I can't. I only have to wait until for God knows a reason, something that will come up in ipeleke uko file. But then now, even in adulthood, where I'm telling myself, okay, fine, today I may not afford a vacation in Zanzibar. Friends might be going out in Greece and Canada. Adulthood will always have its pressures. Just for me to center myself and remind myself, for now, this is not where you are, but this is where you're growing to be. And when I have like a vision board, this is what I want to. When you have that, then your path becomes clear, and those things come to pass because you now have a clear focus where you want to go.
Also, on the part of the vision board, I actually had a guest who talked about similar approach. So how do you organize your vision board?
So for me, it's what do I want to accomplish? Education. I'm a traveling person. So traveling has to also be part of that. What do I want to accomplish in terms of traveling, etc. And then in terms of my career, where do I envision that, etc. Especially things that are within my control. So I put that there. Things that are not within my control, nasemanga tu kaende for lack of a better word. I just like, let me allow myself to whatever I can control, like these things where I can be able to envision for my life, let me put them. Of course, there are things that will come in the way and then I won't be able to do it. But for as long as I have this, I can be focused and centered on this.
So your particular self-awareness that you have talked about, knowing who you are, actually it's usually hard. Ningumu. Because when someone just asks you, who are you? Most of us don't have the answer to that question. Because really, hatujui. Maybe we can say that we are a lot of things, but they say that we don't describe that question using what you do career-wise or what you're studying. Yeah, such kind of stuff. So the journey of self-awareness is usually hard. Most of us, even me, I'm in that journey ya kujua who am I really and what do I want in this life. And that's where the concept of spirituality kicks in. And some people are really struggling with it. Even in school, where I stay, spirituality, it's not that imeshika sana. So you're in that place that haujui uende wapi or what to do. So as a big sister, kindly tell us what you had to do so that you can be spiritually sane.
First of all, I don't think I'm spiritually sane. I just feel that I am still covered by a lot of grace and mercy, because I would not say I am perfect, yeah? But the grace of God sustains me. I think the one thing is realizing this life is not a straight line, right? And so the conversation I was having with my friends yesterday, and we came to the conclusion that life is not a straight line. And because life is not a straight line, the only thing that we are guaranteed of, the one thing that we know for sure is there's a God. And this is only God who can direct us. Because you can't even find your purpose away from God. Because you need to be connected to this God. Because when you have a deep relationship with God, and a deep relationship means like praying, reading your word all the time, He reveals His truth to you. He reveals who you are. He tells you who you are, not the definition of who people think you are, like a clinical officer. But there's so much more that God has put in you that He only knows. He's the only one who can reveal it to you. I think Jeremiah 3:33 says, "Call unto me and I'll show you great and unsearchable things, for which you know not." That's the thing. Like, if you seek God, He tells you things about you that you do not know about. He reveals to you who you are. Like, I think when we were starting, before we started this show, I was telling you, I wanted to be a lawyer and a doctor. All I knew deep down was I wanted to help people. I couldn't figure it. I couldn't piece the pieces together. And eventually now that as I'm growing up, I always know that my purpose is, because it's been clear because of the relationship I have with God, my purpose is to make an impact in people's lives. So whether I do it in the corporate scene, whether I do it in church, whether I do it even in such shows, that is the purpose that God has called me for. I cannot live I cannot live my life like a person who's living purposelessly. Like, I know my life is to impact people. I know my story is to impact people. And that I've only known after developing my relationship with God. Will it be easy? Of course not. There are times you will utafika mahali ujiulize, is God really worth living for? Really, is He? Because there are times situations will come in. Adulthood itakuchapa, ikurambe. And you have to always remember that God is there for you. Si wengine tunaweza toka. Everyone can disappear and go, but God is a constant factor. But it takes a lot of intentionality. Like every relationship, you have friends, right? You have to be intentional about meeting them. You have to be intentional about setting up time with them. If they have an event, you have to be intentional to be present. You can't just assume atajua. I wanted the best for them. Like, it's their graduation, you don't show up. They call you for a hangout, you don't show up. And then if they are in trouble, you don't show up. But you want them to still remember, Kwangana. It doesn't work like that. You have to be intentional. The same way the relationship with God. You have to be intentional. When you're intentional with it, you grow. You will stumble and you'll fall. And that's okay. That's fine. I think you feel that I've clubbed, I've strayed, I've done X, I've done Y. But I was reading a verse today into saying, I think it's in Romans. It's saying nothing can separate us from the love of God. Nothing, not even demons. So imagine, not even the fires of hell. So there's nothing you can do that can actually separate you from the love of God. So that same God, because he loves you and he knows nothing can separate you, he will show and truly reveal his purpose only if you seek him.
And have you been always spiritual throughout your life?
Nope. Nope. So I was born a good girl, like just good. A good girl, always doing the good things, good stuff. But I have a story for another day, but I have had health issues all along, like since I was a kid till now, till date. And there's a time in a season where you get prayed for, aduna shanga, pastors ni wafe. Because clearly it's getting worse and worse. Like there's nothing that's changing. And they're telling me, you're healing. Na mimi may believe, but I'm not seeing anything. And there's a season where I felt it became so dark that me and God had to take a step back. Of course, I did not become wild, but I rebelled in my own way. I went through a season where I just needed to go through it for me to actually recognize that God loves me. Maybe just to give like context, I remember the time I think I'd gone through my first surgery, and it was painful. Oh my God, that thing was painful. It was painful before and after. I remember I sat in the house and I was all alone, and I could not imagine how this pain, haishi, it's never ending. And I remember taking alcohol. I used to go walk to our marketplace, I Kombali from my house, buy alcohol, go and mix up all concoctions of drugs that I got from the cabinet. Nilikuanga na cabinet, like kitchen yetu ilikuwa cabinet ya Esther ya dawa. So I could get all the drugs that I was given, so epilepsy, migraines, tumbo, zote, mix them, take with alcohol, sleep. Wake up the next day na shanga. Okay, maybe I didn't do something right. Go change the brand of alcohol. Go get another one. Let na double dosage of every other drug I pick. And if those people who are there during that season of my life know, home yetu ilikuwa chemist. So I was taking all of that. And I did that for 1 week straight. 1 week straight. And wake up normal.
Like it didn't have side effects?
Nothing. Ata kichwa kuma, ata tumbo kuma. Unaona zile side effects wakaga kwa dawa na mbonga sijui may cause drowsiness, dizziness. Imagine nimecombine hizo zote zinaweza cause all that. And I am still breathing, living, surviving. I thought, okay, clearly this life is not for me. Clearly God has decided. And yeah, so like we are here to testify, but we have. When I think about that season of my life, not that it stopped. It's just that I functionally decided maybe being alone in the house is not for me, and so I consciously make that decision not to be alone, especially when I'm in extreme pain, not to be alone, because I know what that season did to me. So that times I wasn't feeling all spiritual. And at times I don't feel it. But I just surround myself with people who do and who can just be there with me. They don't have to tell me about God and faith. They're just there. And that speaks so much.
Because as for me, there are moments that I feel like I'm struggling with my spirituality. Even at the point that your friends are asking you, when you endangi church? And And actually, I used to go to church like a lot every Sunday praying, but I've never stopped praying. It's just that I find myself, I don't know whether it's in a box, but you feel like you are trapped and you don't know how to get out. You keep on saying that, you keep on defending that point by saying that I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person, that's why I don't go to church. But sitting down and just analyzing what I'm really doing, I feel like there's a motive hiding underneath. I'm just masking it by not going to church at all. Because I might say that, probably on Saturday night, nilienda night shift hosi, so I'm tired, I can't go to church. And then this other day I say, I'm tired, I need to prepare for school, I need to wash up, do laundry and stuff, I'm not going to church. And that has been, actually find that it has been a habit, and I'm on that verge of getting out of that box because it's really hard being in that situation, and you know that, and I always panic saying that probably God won't bless me because I'm not going to church, and I always pray about passing my exams, getting good health, because as for me, I also have chemist. It's just infection after infection, ugonjwa after ugonjwa, and you can't get to the bottom of it. So you feel like it's just too much, and it's a struggle. What I'm trying to say is that it's a struggle for me and for most people that I know too. They're having the same struggles with spirituality. So I've been trying to get attached to religious leaders, even the CU patrons, just getting to know them, because you find that you need someone who's religiously attached, because I can feel like I'm fading away. But as I said, I've never stopped praying. It's always in my head, like every day. As much as I usually skip on that Sunday service, I feel like I owe it to God. Just talking, ni kama tu unaongelesha mtu, like you're having a conversation. Ni ile tu kukua honest, telling him what you feel and why you don't even have that energy to go to church. Such stuff. So I find it's just a struggle for me and most peers right now.
And it's okay to have that struggle. I think between 2020 to 2021, I struggled with going to church. Like that whole phase of, me and God, we talk, we're friends, we're best buds, we're good. Then today, this week, I read a meme one of our pastors had posted. I found it very interesting. It was because it spoke to that situation I was in. He's saying how we say, I don't have to go to church, but I'm a Christian. And he's like, so if people get married and one of them, the husband or the wife, decides, I don't have to go home, but we are married. Like, we are married, but I don't have to come to our home. Yeah, but wewe palitu tuko ila separate places. And I realized it can't work. It can't work. Like, if you're married, you have to live together, unless you're separated. And it hit me. That was how I lived my life for like a few years, because I was going through the motions. And I think the one thing that helped me was surrounding myself with friends. So I had friends who are born again, who'd come to my home, encourage me, just tell me about their church, talk to me about like their services, even make me watch their services. And eventually I found my way in their church. And in that church, I got godly friends. Not that my friends are not godly, but I just got people who have the right vibe. Because we're all about vibes. So they had the right spiritual vibe for me. Like, they love the Lord, they're passionate about the Lord. And I said, these people, I want to hold on to them and hold on to this friendship, because this friendship also helps me keep on to God. But it wasn't easy. It was a year of constantly, like my friend would constantly remind me about going to church. My sister would remind me about constantly going to church. Like my friends would come remind me about going to church, but ilikuwa inafeel I love God, leave me alone. I know God, I pray to him. So it's sort of the same situation, but it took me time. And again, I just want people to understand that you have to also extend grace to yourself in situations like that, while still asking God to bring the right people, to bring the right church, to bring you the right community, because he will do it. But you just need to also extend grace to yourself during such seasons, but not also be comfortable. It's okay, let me just continue extending grace. But just as you're extending grace yourself, you're telling God, bring me the right people in my life, bring me the right friends, bring me people who will give me the right church, give me the right community, because that's what I need. And God will give it to you. But it's not, say, Indomie. It's not instant. It's not 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and it will happen. Voila, tomorrow you're in a church. It's okay. Life is a journey. Kuna stops, kuna starts. It's just a journey. Embrace it.
Yeah, and actually I am. And to anyone else who's struggling, because being open and vulnerable isn't a bad thing, because you get to learn, and that's the purpose. Actually, I had a quote says that life is a thing you learn, you never fail. Actually, there's no failing, because if you do something wrong, it means that you've learned something new on how to do it right. So yeah, I hope you've learned from that. And I also have another question on forming relationships, be it platonic or romantic in this era. How can we go about it? Because people are going into more toxic situationships, and I've even seen scenarios of people killing each other, killing themselves because of a bad relationship. Because I have a personal experience on that, a close family member ending her life because of a relationship. And I felt how key this thing is, and people are going wrong at some point. So what do we need to look for?
Again, I feel like I repeat myself like a broken record, but it's very key when you're self-aware. Because once you know who you are, you know, who am I, what do I want to get out of this, especially relationships, what you want to, even friendships, what you want to get out of this, what's the purpose of this friendship? Like, nini natuleta pamoja, what's bringing me and these friends of mine together? Like yesterday I was hanging out with friends of mine. I think the common denominator is we all worked together at some point in one organization. And I realized the reason why we are still friends despite us going different ways is because we have one purpose: to build and to grow each other. Through the messes of life, through whatever life brings us, we've decided this friendship is here to stay, regardless of how busy we are. It's here to stay because we are here to help each other, support each other, grow each other. It's those friendships you stay, you talk about whatever issues you're going through, and you don't leave that place feeling like you've been judged and whatever. You feel like you've gotten people who are able to work with you. Like mtu ana get personal because of a choice you made, like as if it's theirs, and they're giving you their thoughts, and they're calling you out, and they're not calling you out because they don't like you. They're calling you out because they love you and they care about you. So it's getting to understand, what are you getting from these friendships? What is the common denominator in these friendships? Because if your friendships are not there to build you, to help you, to encourage you, to call you out in your nonsense, then that's not a good friendship. And you have to be very clear about, like, this is what I want. And then also for relationships, same thing. What do I want? What are you bringing? What am I bringing to the table? You know, sometimes you expect the other person to bring something to the table. You're expecting, if it's the guy, especially for us ladies, we're expecting him to provide for us. We're expecting him to love us, to comfort us. We have all these expectations. And it's funny how I think last week, but when I was doing class and we were talking about expectations, and I realized all relationship problems just stem from expectations. Because I expect X, Y, Z, but I don't say it. I don't voice it out. But you have to be very clear about what you expect and voicing it out. Because the moment you are not voicing it out, you'll end up in a toxic relationship. Because someone else is expecting X, you're giving Y. And then you're expecting Z, this person is giving you Q. And none of you is speaking. And so you collide all the time. So it becomes a relationship where there's emotional blackmail from one person or the other. Because you guys are just not hakuna communication. And that's where you got it all wrong. You have different expectations of each other because you all came into this relationship with different expectations. You expected this person to build you. And then also the fact that we also come into relationships with that expectation of this person will grow me, make me happy. And realizing the more you grow up, you realize you have to be happy on your own. Like you have to come as Marie, full, knowing who you are, knowing what you want. Because the moment you get into that relationship, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, you don't know where you're going. You'll get caught up in their life. And that's why you'll get the toxicity coming from. Because you're not able to let go of this person because your life is intertwined with this person. Because ulikuja kama Marie, umejishikanisha na vision ya this person. You don't know where yours is heading. So unafuatananisha na huyu mtu. So the moment they pull out, your life crumbles because this is all you knew. This was all you knew. And unfortunately, that's how people end up committing suicide because their lives were so intertwined with this person. They were not an individual when they're getting to the relationship. Even when you're in a relationship, you still be an individual. And that's the one thing that we get wrong. And that's why these videos natokea. You get into a toxic relationship because you always intertwine into that person. Elevate above all others. Common sense off the window. And sometimes love is irrational. So if you don't know who you are, if you don't know who your purpose, your vision, why you are in that relationship in the first place, be rest assured all toxicity, all manner of narcissism will lie in that relationship. Even with you yourself, utakuwa toxic. And you have to acknowledge, I'm the toxic one here, but no one ever wants to acknowledge that you are the toxic one in the relationship.
And how do you know that you're the toxic one in that relationship?
Ukikaa chini na wewe mwenyewe you look back, take a step back. I usually say, sometimes it's good to take a step back. Even when you're having an argument with your significant person, whatever, take a step back. Akisha kuambia kitu, yes, fine, ulijibishana na but take a step back, ujulize, akisema X, Y, Z, what were they meaning? Even when your friends tell you, they call you out, when they say X, Y, Z, what do they mean? Reflect on that. Because the moment you don't reflect on the feedback you're given by any person, you don't become better. Because feedback is at least supposed to help you grow. Regardless of how that feedback came in, you can decide, you are the one who has a choice to decide what you will make of that feedback. Feedback is painful. Sometimes feedback is painful. It is what it is. It's painful. But you take a step back and say, he said, when I'm angry, I lash out, I insult, I take a step back and ask myself, by the way, why is it that when I'm angry, is there a better way to do this? But it takes a lot of, and sometimes some people have to go through counseling to actually get there. You can't do it on your own, and that takes even time to get there. When people just tell you, by the way, you need to get help. Because there are times when you won't do it on your own. You will need someone to work with you. And sometimes that doesn't have to be a counselor. It can be someone you look up to. It can be a mentor. It can be a coach. There are so many people out there who can guide you through. Yeah.
And finally, what do we need? When should we know to let go of a toxic friendship or a relationship? And if you have really valued it, probably even from high school or primary or just childhood friends from your home, when do you learn to let go and just move on to other people?
the moment your self-worth is called into question is the moment you walk away. The moment your value imeenda hivi chini, based, when I say value, it's even how you look at yourself in that relationship. You don't feel valued, you don't feel loved. They might say they love you, but najua, this is not love. Love is patient, they are not embodying those principles. You definitely start saying, when you are doing too much in the relationship, my friend, brother, please pick yourself up
and leave.
Take a step back. Sometimes you don't have to completely walk away. There are people who get back together after some time, but it's you realizing what was the gap there. Was ukianza kufeel self-worth yako imeenda, take a step back, reflect, rethink, get yourself up, because maybe it's even you who's let yourself down, because it's you who's tolerated a lot of nonsense, thinking it's normal. Take a step back. When you feel like you're the one always giving, always centered around this person, like una feel kama wewe ni leech around this person. Yeah. The moment the fact that you can think that, take a step back. Maybe you might be wrong, but take a step back so that you can clearly reflect. But the moment you're still continuing in that cycle, you don't get the clarity of your mind. The moment there's physical or emotional abuse, jitoe. It's not worth the time, so that worth the hassle. It's even very sad that I think Jana, there's a lawyer who was trending. I don't know whether he's a lawyer or he's a fake. I don't care, whatever it is. He's a very violent man who hits his wife and posts it on social media. And it's not the first time, not the second time. I think that's someone who's already devalued you. The moment Alisha posted this siku ya kwanza should have been the day that you realize, But again, I understand this trauma bonding. It takes a lot of therapy for you to realize ume trauma bond. Because trauma bond is when someone hurts you, but then you
feel more connected.
You feel more connected to them. It's like a Stockholm syndrome. Kidnapper kidnaps you and then eventually you fall in love with the kidnapper. It's something that happens to our mental well-being. And that also takes, again, therapy. Kuna vitu zingine zinahitaji tu therapy. Because kujitoa ni ngumu because of the mental ninis we've associated with it. You can associate your toxic friend with a savior syndrome. And they're not quite there. Frankly, they're even far from it. But you'll need people. And that's why I said you need to take yourself away so that you realize, but I need other people to help me walk through this journey, to help me get away from whatever this mess is. Because the moment you don't also have your, that's why I'm saying being an individual is very important. Because if you have friends, and if you have friends who care and value for you, they will walk the journey with you. They will, I think with women, when we cry, I've had a friend who broke up from a toxic relationship. Alilia for 1 year. 1 year, constantly repeating the same thing every day to me, but I never got tired because I realized if I grow tired, they might hop up into another relationship that's the same trait. But so get people who will walk with you through that whole messy journey. That's also important. But physical, emotional abuse, you don't need to be told, walk away.
Yeah. And thank you for that. Do you have any additional gems you'd like to tell the audience?
I think I'll still remain true to yourself. Find out who you are. Take a step back. Find out who you are. Because the moment you are not self-aware, a lot of things will crumble. So many things. From relationships, finances, career. You'll just be going through the motions of life. And you don't want to get to a point where you're reaching a point and you're realizing, oh my God, I should have done things differently. I was doing things because my mom wanted me to. I was doing it because my friends, my family, those pressures will, as it I change, they will always be there. You just need to be true to yourself and always seek God. Seek God, and you'll find him. He will always reveal who you are. if there's someone who knows you better than yourself, it's God, and he will reveal your true self to, like, atakwambia who you are. He will direct your steps. He will ordain your steps wherever you go.
Thank you so much, Esther, for giving us a really genuine talk on this topic that you've had. And I hope for the audience that you have learned from her and you have been inspired by the story and the lessons that she's giving us, and even your life will get transformed along the way. So that's it for the episode, and I do hope that you subscribe to the channel so that you can get additional juicy episodes talking about the same and even different dimensions that you may want to learn from. So that's it from me. Have a nice day.